I wanted to ask you the question, your evaluation of, given the facts that, look, climate change is with us. If you are sensitive to it, knowledgeable about it, the better for any such government or people who are responsible for this kind of thing. Now, we are already in climate change. As you said earlier, it's been with us for quite a while, and it does have its implications. What would be your evaluation as to the authorities' response to the phenomenon that we're calling climate change? You said that there is data, so if anybody cared enough, we could always look at patterns and that kind of a thing. So given all of that sort of analytical, scientific approach, what would be your evaluation or assessment of the efforts of our people to, well, not exactly combat, but be ready and be able to accommodate climate change?
Unfortunately, we, like so many other people in the world, are just not being proactive enough. Look, in 2015, the Secretary General of the United Nations was addressing about 95% of global leaders in Paris, including our own president at that time. And he said to them, mankind is waging war against nature, and this is suicidal. He used that word, that we're behaving in a suicidal manner because nature always fights back. And she's doing so with more and more vigor. Okay, that was in 2015. So all the world leaders said, we have to reduce this pollution. And we have to plant millions of trees to absorb the CO2. Guess what? By 2022, the level of pollution around the planet's atmosphere had never, ever been so high, despite everybody agreeing to reduce it. And this is why he is now saying, look, we're rushing headlong to a catastrophic consequence, and our foot is still on the accelerator. Imagine that. You're in a vehicle heading towards a cliff. You know, maybe the bridge at the end of the road has broken. And they're warning you, that you drivers, you leaders, the bridge is broken. And guess what? For various considerations, economic considerations, and so on and so forth, you're still pressing the accelerator. You're not even slowing down the process. So it is very, very worrying. However, having said that, there are indications that this new regime, this new dispensation of leadership in Nigeria, look as if they're on track to trying to do the right thing by coalescing governments of Africa, particularly West Africa, to come together as one voice and speak to the Western world, who are the ones who were the major culprits. They're the ones who've been polluting the atmosphere all this time in the process of their so-called development. Although, again, it's questionable if you can actually ascribe what we've been doing to that particular word development, because if in the process of what you're doing, you're actually wrecking your planet's life support systems, then it's questionable that actually you can call it development. Anyway, he is promoting it. Mr. President, even before he came into power, was promoting that we have to get together as one and speak with one voice to the northern Western nations and tell them,
collectively,
yes, that we need funds. We need funds to adapt. Okay, massive adaptation programs, which we are involved in Lufasi and the Nigerian Conservation Foundation. We're now part of the Climate Change Commission. Massive adaptation programs, millions and millions of trees planted to stop the desert from moving in. Massive interventions along the river areas, the riverine areas, the slopelands. Again, nature. Plant many trees, do dredging upstream. Yes, we're doing dredging in Lagos, and also ensuring that people follow the regulations.
All right, then.
3 days ago, I was at...
One moment, Mr. Majekodunmi. I beg your pardon for interrupting you, but there's a caller on the line. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but there's a caller on the line, and we're in danger of losing him. David, calling in from Mowe. Good morning to you, sir, and thank you for holding on.
Thank you very much for allowing I've been wanting to speak through your program for a long time. Thank you for the beautiful work you are doing.
Oh, you're very kind.
My question, first is to Mr. Majekodunmi.
Okay.
He has told us that because the earth is being, heat constantly, there's going to be, rain all over. Does it not negate the fact that there is deforestation all over the country that is resulting in the fight between, the farmers and herders? If more rain comes, is it not an advantage to us? Or how does that not contradict the fact that there is deforestation? That's number one. Then to our doctor, I don't expect a better presentation from him, especially as a civil servant. Over 15 years ago, for instance, when the doctors' quarters was on fire in Lagos, it was a private institution that brought the helicopter to rescue people from the top of the building. And it was a contractor that supplied the lift that took the firefighters to a very high place to put an end to the fire in Fellow. The question I want to ask is, what is the government doing? Say, for instance, Mushin and Idiaraba is always flooded. We don't need anybody to tell us that, look, government should do something about it. Day in, day out, year in, year out. If there's any little rain, for instance, the whole place is flooded.
Okay, I got you there. David, I got you there as it relates to the question you want to direct to Mr. Dr. Osanyintolu. But as for the question you directed to Mr. Majekodunmi, did you say that how is the effect of the reforestation efforts not being negated by these floods and these rains? Did I get that right?
No, what I'm saying is that, all right, there is deforestation. And that is what, farmers, herders are coming, down south. They are looking for pasture. But he now says that there will be more rain. If there are more rain, for instance, resulting in flooding, those rain will then not help to bring back the grasses that, the herders are looking for.
Okay. Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much. I'm happy that we didn't lose you before you got your chance to talk. Mr. Majekodunmi, would you like to react to that contribution?
Yeah. So very quickly, I'm glad you caught the viewer, David. Yes. No, we need to address concerns. Yeah. Very, very good. I'm glad we caught him. Yes. Well, the thing about this climate change is that you could be having massive rain in one section of the country, and in the other section of the country, you might have no rain at all. And this is part of the problem that we're having in our northern area. The desert is moving in relentlessly because there's so little rain. And you see, it's the forests that actually will encourage the rain to come because the trees have an incredible role to play. It's quite scientific, it's quite technical, but basically they absorb the water that falls. Where it falls, they now evaporate it through a process of transvaporation. It goes up in the atmosphere and the wind blows it and it falls again inland. But when you now remove those trees, then you break that cycle. And this is what we are doing as human beings, not just Nigerians, not just Lagosians. As human beings, we are abusing nature. We're disrupting the environment. And you see, we call it environment, but what it really is, the real description, it is our life support system. And we are disrupting it to an extent whereby we might not be able to stop the process of its deterioration if we continue this way. So we are encouraging massive reforestation and really protecting the forests that are there. And that is adhering to the laws.
Indeed.
It's all very well. You have a protected area and then people just pay small money and they come and cut the trees. Or like we have in some areas in Lekki at Okonaja, you have area where there should be no sand filling. This is mangrove because nature, with the mangrove, is using that to carry the flood water and even purify it and so on. And guess what? They're sand filling a place where they're not supposed to sand fill. Likewise, people should be admonished to throw rubbish into the drains. And I would advocate for more funding for LASEMA, particularly for their awareness programs. So
all right,
get these ideas across to people.
Exactly.